Hey darlings, today I want to share with you my manifestation story, but I think we all have a story about how we discovered manifestation, but for me, let's see, where do I start this story? Manifestation is always happening, and there's kind of two ways that manifestation is taught. There's manifestation as like a thing that you do, a ritual that you do in order to manifest a thing. And then there's manifestation in terms of understanding quantum physics, and I guess the law of attraction is in this basket too, but the manifestation that you realize is always happening. Manifestation when you want to manifest a thing, and then manifestation when you recognize that you are creating your life in each and every moment. So for me, I grew up with a mum who was always getting her perfect parking space, and she would win every competition she decided to win. And that means for a while there, and most of the time, she wins every competition. It is insane. It's crazy. I just kind of laugh and go, oh, of course you did. She wins like cakes and gift baskets and vouchers and just all the things. She would enter raffles for us as a kid and we would win the raffle. So cool. There's been a few that she hasn't won, and I realized why. Because I do this too. I'm good at manifesting competition wins. But sometimes when you're doing that, you make a decision that you don't actually want to manifest it. You enter a competition, and just because you're a good manifester doesn't mean you're going to win the competition, because sometimes what happens is you realize you don't want it, or you realize that you actually want someone else to win. And I've done this before as well, where you decide, actually, I think someone else deserves this one a little bit more, or someone else needs this, or actually I changed my mind, I don't really want this thing. So anyway, my mum, super manifester, and I watched that and I didn't know that it was manifestation, but she would kind of talk about it in terms of, like, she taught me how to manifest without me knowing that it was manifestation. But she taught it kind of in this positive thinking way, that if you decide that you're going to win and you visualize it. My mum was really big, or is really big, probably, on visualizing. And for me, visualizing is the key to manifesting, because it's about feeling like it's your reality now and getting in that energy of it now. So I learned that from her, and I would win competitions. And when I moved out of home, I manifested my first home. I've manifested, I think, six rentals. One was for somebody else. That was fun. So that's manifesting stuff. And I would kind of, if I needed something, I would manifest it. And I've taught other people how to win competitions too, just for fun. But then I had like the second learning of manifestation. It was maybe 5 years ago when I started to dive really deep. I watched The Secret, I think for the first time. And I decided that, hey, I want to start actually using manifestation on a daily basis, like just for fun, like playing some games. And so I started doing that. But at the same time, all these things were lining up for my spiritual awakening. And I started learning from different teachers. You can't see, but there's like a bookshelf down here. Oh, getting a message on my computer again. I've got like so many books. I started learning from some really lovely people about manifestation and quantum physics, and basically how we create our reality in every moment. And I went into this really deep dive looking at my life in every area, every experience I ever had, the way I was living at the time, and what my thoughts, my expectations, my beliefs, and my energy had been around that thing. And I could see for each and every instance how I had created my reality. Every single time that I went into something, knowing that this was the outcome that I wanted and this is what would happen, it manifested that way. Every time I decided, no, that's definitely not going to happen, it didn't happen. And when I was kind of on the fence about it, things would happen either way, but kind of, it's like they could have gone either way. But for some things, it was like synchronicities all the way. Like there was a really defined lead up to the result, to the manifestation. So this is when I started to apply manifestation, not just for things that I wanted, but for my entire life experience, how I wanted my life to be. And I just, so I have a lot of stories from that time. So you can have a manifestation story, but then like to have an overarching one is kind of crazy because the little manifestations within it are what make it fun, right? But when I watched The Secret, I started like just manifesting money. I manifested the cliche check in the mail, and I was like, I'm never going to manifest that because where would a check even come from these days? But I got one. It was cool. For $150 from like an unexpected source. Super cool. I manifested discounts. I manifested, like in those very early days around that, like everything was coming at me. It was so cool. I manifested a family member coming from interstate all of a sudden to visit. I thought it would be really nice for them to visit soon. They called me up and said they were at the airport. Very cool. And I manifested $700 from the power company, said that I'd been on the wrong, like they'd been charging me the wrong amount for a certain amount of months. At the time, let me paint a picture for where I was at in my life at this time, because that's really important. I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment and I had manifested it. I had manifested this apartment like I had manifested all my other houses. I decided I wanted to live in this community, in this suburb, because it's a really lovely place to be. And I manifested this 2-bedroom house, but we very, very quickly outgrew it because my daughter turned 2 and suddenly she had more energy, she needed more space, and I was going to have my second daughter. I knew that I wanted to have a baby here, but I hadn't really thought about it because up until then we'd lived in bigger houses and found them too big. So we moved somewhere smaller. But this house, it was dingy. It was moldy. We had to stop using one of the rooms because there wasn't enough airflow. There was no yard. There was like a patch with like it wasn't really safe for kids. And what's the other thing about it? It was really outdated. It was like an old kitchen and I couldn't use any of the cupboards because they were chipboard and they were going yucky. So I did manifest it. But it very quickly was not right for us. So that's where I was living. I had, all our furniture was secondhand or free. I was manifesting it, which was cool. But my standards were like at this certain level. My car was old and beaten up and it cost us more each year in repairs than it did to buy a whole new cheap car. And I was living on welfare with like my hobby business on the side that I started when I was 17. So there was a little bit of income there. But it wasn't where I wanted to be, and it kind of baffled me that that's where we were at because I knew that I was meant for more and I knew that this wasn't really my reality, but I wasn't sure how to get out of it. So I looked at how I'd manifested all those things and I started to increase my energetic standards. I realized, I'll tell all these stories separately as well so I can tell them in more detail, but I realized that I'd been holding back my savings account by wanting it to be this certain amount, but forgetting to allow it to grow. So I very quickly started expanding my savings. I upgraded our car. I started receiving more income through my business and through manifestations. Like little things would just happen. And I stopped manifesting the problems that I had been manifesting in my life. So I was manifesting setbacks and unexpected expenses and my screen just went blank. Sorry, you can probably still see me, but I'm just going to wiggle the mouse. So I started manifesting different things. And then I manifested a new house. Thank goodness. I'll tell that story elsewhere as well. But for a while there, I felt so stuck. And I think with manifestation, often people, like the most common things I see people manifesting are their dream house, their dream car, their dream job, their dream relationship, and money. And those are all really important. They kind of make up your life, don't they? Like the things around you, the things you do, and your relationships with people. But at the same time, they're kind of these tangible things. And for me, I started using manifestation, and I encourage everyone to use manifestation every day as you go through your day. Think about what you're thinking about and how you're feeling and what you're creating. The most important key, I would say, is to think about your expectations. How do you expect things to turn out? How do you expect your life to look? Amanda Frances, who is a really cool manifestation teacher, she talks about energetic set points and how you'll get what your standards are. You'll often get, like, if this is your standard, this is what you'll get. Even though if you want something up here, but you'll put up with this is like the universe will give you, it will give you things in the most easiest and direct route. It will, I've just lost there's a quote, but I can't remember it. It'll give you things in the easiest way possible. So if you say, hey universe, I'd love more money, you might find $1 on the ground. It's important to be really specific with what you want and also not have that plan B. I'm a fan of making a plan B mentally for your, so you can feel relaxed and comfortable about something, but never allowing that energetically to be the plan. Always have this plan here and just have that like in the back of your mind as on a mental level, if that makes sense, as opposed to on an energetic one. So if you have these standards and you're putting up with, like I was, secondhand furniture, I still have secondhand furniture, it's just better quality, like things that are broken, dodgy old cars, a living situation that's not great, start to loosen your attachment to those things. So for me, I felt really, really stuck in that house, and it was super frustrating because I knew I had to let go of it in order to manifest something new. So don't drive yourself crazy with this, but start to like let it go a little bit and be like, okay, this is just how things are. This is a manifestation of my past energy, my past beliefs, my past expectations and thoughts. But now I'm choosing something better for myself. I know that I'm worthy and deserving of something better, and my life is actually going in this other way. I'm headed towards my dreams, and the universe is conspiring for me and working behind the scenes and leading me towards this thing. And slowly, well, not slowly, and it can happen super fast. So raise those standards. This isn't you anymore. Whatever the thing is that you've been putting up with, don't put up with it anymore. If it's something physical, if it's like a chair with a dodgy leg that you have to like prop a book under every time, or if it's like let me think, like a dodgy door handle, or there was something I fixed recently. Oh yeah, our bin was crappy and we were just putting up with it, and one day I was like, hang on, let's get a new bin. Like, I think it's kind of a very human thing to, as things change ever so slightly, you just adapt to them. But notice the things that are bringing you down energetically, mindset-wise, and do something to change them. Often we can change lots of little things in our life, and that really can up-level us. You might have heard people talk about, acting as if, and then like buying a really nice handbag or nice shoes, or wanting to upgrade things physically in order to embody your ideal self. I love to encourage people to do that on like the small, like the little things. Like if your shoes are scuffed, maybe like shine your shoes. Or like for me, this Doona cover was a big investment, and that, because I lie in it every night, it reminds me of that, and it made me feel like I had up to the standards. So think about those little changes you can make and start thinking about your life in terms of what you're manifesting. Start thinking about manifestation in terms of something that you are doing always, constantly. You are molding your life into being a certain way. You don't just live your life and then you sit down and say, okay, I want to manifest this thing. I'm going to focus on this one thing. It's about being a certain way. It's about expecting life to be a certain way for you. And if that all sounds complicated, I'm going to share so many more manifestation tricks, energy tricks, mindset tricks. I want things to be easy for you because for me, I've studied manifestation like in depth for 5 years now. I've studied how the things I do internally change my reality. And it's fascinating, but it can also be a lot to self-analyze so much. So I just want to share with you the things that I've learned so you can just put them into practice and make this be easy. I'm all about making not just manifestation, but creating your dream life easily, like with flow, like in a way that feels really natural to you and that is quick. Because not a lot of people, that's a belief. Some people have this idea that it has to happen slow or that you have to compromise. It doesn't have to. You can start living your dream life now. You never know what's around the corner. You don't know the surprises, the synchronicities, the things that could happen tomorrow, just around the corner, that could completely change your life. And that's the beauty of manifestation, is starting to live with this feeling of possibility that anything can happen and you can have whatever life you want to live. So, if you liked what I had to say, click the subscribe button and I'll see you guys in the next video. My foot's going to sleep. See you guys. Mwah.